Well, hey there, and welcome to this quick tips training for you. I wanted to share this training with you about my 3 circle time tips for preschool um, because the top 3 questions that I receive about circle time are the same 3 questions I always had when I first started teaching as well. And it's, how do we get our preschoolers to come, stay, and participate? Right? So how do you get your preschoolers to come to circle time? How do you get them to stay at circle time once you get them there? And then how do you get them to participate and be, active participants in your group? And these are great questions. And like I said, they're ones that I struggled with in the past as well. So I wanted to share the tips that I've come up with. And in case we haven't met before, let me introduce myself. My name is Cheryl Hatch, and I'm the owner of Preschool Cubby and Preschool Planet. A little bit about me is I've actually been a teacher I was teaching for about 25 years, and for the last 5 years of that, I was also a preschool director. For the last few years, I've actually been working full-time on Preschool Planet and Preschool Cubby, which has been a lot of fun serving you all. This picture here is the love of my life. This is Bill, my husband. He and I have been together for over 30 years. We'll be celebrating our 29th wedding anniversary this year, so that's pretty exciting. This is our corgi, Jack. We are actually his minions, and he knows it. We adopted him when he was 1. He's 7 years old now. And look at that face. We just love him. He runs this house, and we let him. So cute. As you can tell, I love corgis. I'm actually a volunteer administrator for a Facebook group that's all about corgis. This is a picture of me at a corgi meetup. Believe it or not, we had corgi meetups. There were 25 corgis. I sat there in my glory, just petting all kinds of corgis, and Jack got to play with all kinds of friends. These are my 2 daughters, and the daughter on the right actually has 2 babies now. So she and her husband have blessed us with 2 grandsons, and they are now 4 and almost 2, which we can't believe that that's happened already, but that means I get to share lots of fun activities with them as well. So I love everything preschool. As I said, I have this Preschool Planet website that is here to serve you, and Preschool Cubby, which is my membership program. And right now what I want to do is just share, let's get right into it. Let's start talking about tips for circle time, shall we? Let me just switch my screen and we'll get started. Okay, let's get started. So the first of the 3 questions, how do I get preschoolers to come to circle time? Well, transitions are going to be key. And we do this throughout the day, right? Like when it's close to snack time, we'll tell the kids, okay, 5 more minutes and it's going to be snack time. We need to do the same thing at circle time. I think that one of the things that we need to do, especially at circle time, most programs, the circle time is usually one of the first things you do in the morning. So let's think about what the children have done before they even entered your classroom. They've gone through a lot already in the morning. So they got up, they had to get dressed, they had to eat. Some of that does not happen very easily. You have some stressed out parents coming in because the children just, maybe they weren't cooperative, they woke up tired, who knows what. So they transitioned from home, now they're in the car. They're driving to your program or walking to your program. And if they're driving to your program in a car, so there's the transition of getting into the car seat, the 15-minute or so, maybe longer, drive to get to school. Then they're out of the car seat. Then they come into the program. Now there's the big transition. Some of your kids may be dealing with separation anxiety. They're having a tough time leaving mom or dad or grandma or whoever's dropping them off. So it's another transition. And usually you're going to have some arrival activities so that when the children arrive, they can go and choose from a number of different activities to do. Once all the children are there, now it's circle time, and you're starting circle time with them. And it's boom, okay, let's go. It's circle time now. It's really hard for them, especially if they've just gotten into play or playing with something, one of the arrival activities, and you're telling them, okay, we need to stop. We really need to transition. So one of the things we need to do is give them a verbal cue. And I know most of us do this, like we'll say, in 5 more minutes, we're going to have circle time. But let's remember, too, that children don't tell time like we do. 5 minutes, it means nothing to them. It means something to us. But they can get a feel for 5 minutes. So what I recommend is a couple of verbal cues. Like tell them, okay, in a little while, we're going to clean up what we're doing and we're going to go to circle time. So that's the first thing you're going to do. And then in a few minutes, tell them, okay, 5 more minutes and we're going to clean up for circle time. So you're giving them a couple of verbal cues that circle time's coming, that a change or a transition is coming. And then the next thing is when you're doing that, give them something to anticipate. Like tell them, I am so excited for circle time today. I put something really cool in this bag, and I'll bet you'll guess, or maybe you won't guess what's in this bag. But I can't wait to show it to you at circle time. So in a few minutes, we're going to clean up, and then we'll go to circle time, and we'll try to guess what's in this bag, okay? And then always have a transition from the previous activity. This is really important. We kind of talked about this a minute ago, which was, let's not, when the children are doing their arrival time activities or whatever activity they're doing before circle time, let's not just say, okay, you guys, 1 minute, we're going to clean up, and boom, let's go. Always have a transition, something that gets them from one activity to the next. You can even do a transition activity. Here's one that was suggested by one of the visitors to the website. She uses a rope, and she puts a rope on the ground. You could use a jump rope. You could even use tape. You could, whatever you want to use. And tell the kids, let's pretend we're walking on a bridge, or we're walking on hot lava, or we're going over a swamp that's filled with alligators. So they will go along with this, and they need to balance on the tape or on the rope to get to the other side without falling off, because we're pretending this is a bridge. And then once they get to circle time, or the circle carpet, or the circle area, whew, that's the safe zone. Now they can get off the rope. It's just kind of a fun way to get them to circle time. Have a predictable cue that circle time is starting. Some type of a movement or a song, like you might do. Tootie-ta was a big one for us. We would all, one of the teachers would just go to circle time when it was circle time, and as the other kids were finishing cleaning up, the teacher would just start singing Tootie-ta. Our kids loved it. We sang it all year long. You might do head, shoulders, knees, and toes. You might do something. Or maybe you have, actually, yeah, let me share this with you. This is another thing you can do. This is something you could do as you're waiting for the other kids to clean up, that was sent to me by Barb. Shake your hands above you, shake them behind you. So you're doing some positional word fun. Shake your hands under you, have them jump up and down and count to a certain number. How old are you? You're 3? Okay, let's jump 3 times. Ready? Because Joey's 3. 1, 2, 3. Sally, how old are you? You're 4. Okay, let's count. Let's jump and count to 4. What, you know what I mean. So this helps get their wiggles out, and it also helps them learn some important words, those positional words, and obviously counting. And what Barb said was they love it, and they always laugh when they put their hands under us. So she'll have them like sit on their hands, or touch your elbow, touch your nose. You can do it really slow. Okay, touch your nose really, really slow. Okay, now let's touch our heads really, really fast. Just something that just makes it fun and lets them all participate and be excited about being at circle time. Okay, you might also have a mystery prop bag. I don't know if you have one of these. This could be anything. You can use a brown paper bag. If you have a really special bag, we actually had a purple felt bag, and we put a big white question mark on it. So that was the mystery bag. And you can put something in there and tell them, I wonder what's in the mystery bag today. Once everyone's at circle, we're going to figure it out. I can't wait to show it to you. That could be the thing that you do. If you can do something consistent each day that they enjoy, all the better. They'll want to come to circle time that much quicker. This tip that I'm going to give you about how to get children to come to circle time is the most, most important tip of all. Write this one down. Be excited about circle time yourself. I mean, think about it. If you're saying to them, all right, guys, come on, we need to clean up. It's circle time. We need to get through circle time if we're going to go to centers or if we're going to go outside. I mean, that is just so boring. I do not want to come to your circle time if that's how it sounds. But be excited. Like, tell them, you guys, I am so excited. I couldn't even sleep last night thinking about what was in this mystery bag. Or I couldn't even stand it. I can't wait for circle time to come because I'm so excited to show you this new toy that we got in. You guys are going to love this. You need to be excited about circle time. I mean, think about it. It's the only time of the day, really, that all the kids are going to be there at the same time instead of off doing their own things where you can hang out together. So be really excited about your day to start with them. So that's my biggest tip. Okay, so moving on. So now they're, they're at circle time, or at least in the general vicinity, right? And this brings us to number 2. How do we get preschoolers to stay at circle time? Well, this is a great question because this, hold on, I want to switch screens here and show you something. This, you've probably seen this video before, but I'm just going to play it for a minute.
Choice situations. How are we going to all these situations? Oh, we got 2 of them. We got 3 of them. We got 3 situations.
He has 3 situations. And look, oh, there goes another one leaving circle time. Oh, another one leaving circle time. I have more situations. I can't carry them. I can't carry them all. He's adorable. That's on YouTube if you want to look it up. Just type in cat situation and that video will come up. It's really, really cute. I could watch that all day long. So how do we get them to stay at circle time? Well, first, you need to give them a reason to stay. Give them an active part in circle time. Maybe you're going to give them a piece of flannel that's going to go along with a flannel board story that you're going to read. Maybe you have props that you're going to give them. One of the things we did when we read a Jan Brett story, The Mitten, and we had a big, huge piece of paper. My co-teacher actually had this big, huge piece of paper. She had 2 of them, and she cut it out into the shape of a mitten, stapled it around, all the way around, but left the opening where you would basically put your hand into a mitten or a glove, left that part open. And she gave each child a stuffed animal that went along with the book. Believe it or not, she had stuffed animals to go with every single book. And then you can also just have flannel pieces or make photocopies of the animals from that book and have each child hold one. And then as you read the story, they need to pay attention to the animal that's in their hand and they put it inside the mitten. So just give them an active part, a prop from a story or a flannel board or maybe a piece of a game that you're going to show them, a new game that you have. The other thing is talk with them, not at them. You know, when you're talking to them about, you know, what you're doing or what we're going to do today, and then we're going to read a story and you're talking and you're going on and we're imparting information because we want them to learn and we have a lot to teach. So we're talking at them instead of with them. Well, guess what? It's too passive for them. They're very active and they need to be involved somehow. So the longer you expect them to sit passively, the better chance you have of losing their attention. Their attention's going to wander. And nobody likes to be talked at, right? I mean, nobody likes to be talked at all the time. I know I don't. But we think that if we teach, they'll learn. And like I said, when we talk at them, we're not teaching and they're not learning because they're not involved. So they're zoning out. Think about staff meetings when you're thinking about talking at them. Has this ever happened to you? So like, this is me right here with these bubbles. This is totally me. I'm at a staff meeting, and directors, don't take this personally. I, as a director, have run some pretty boring staff meetings, and I've zoned out myself in my own staff meeting. So, you know, the staff meeting's happening, and the director or whoever's up there talking is talking at you, and you're hearing the Charlie Brown teacher, wah, 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 wah. Meanwhile, you're thinking, ooh, I just remembered it's pizza night. We're getting pizza. You're not paying attention because you're being talked at. That's why many conferences that you go to, they make you do these ridiculous role plays. We think it's ridiculous, but actually, as silly as they may seem to you, it helps you to stay involved. It's really important to do that, and it's just as important for children. The other thing is to be mindful of their attention span. So if you're losing them, you know, and you're noticing like one by one that they're just kind of not involved anymore, or you're kind of losing them, don't be afraid to end circle time because it's fine. It's fine. You do circle time again tomorrow. It's okay to end it. It's okay. It's okay. Actually, let me show you this other video. If you have not looked this guy up, you have got to look him up. His name's Jerry Brooks. He has the funniest videos about teachers, for teachers. I'm going to play this one for you so you can hear it. Okay, ready?
This right here is a magnet. Everybody look at the magnet. Yeah, no, it's not a donut. It's a, listen, everybody's going to get touch it, okay? It's a magnet. I'll put it right there, okay? That's a no, move out of the way. Where are you going? Hey, that's not your spot. Come right back over here, okay? Look, you got to come where you were. No, it's not time for recess yet. Get back in here, okay? All right, this right here is a magnet. Yeah, look right there. This is a magnet. It's very pretty, isn't it? Now back up a little bit. Okay, everybody's going to get to see it. Back up just a little bit. This is a magnet right here, and here's no. Why are you touching his shoes? No, move out of the way. Okay, seriously. Yes, they're new shoes. We don't need to all look at his shoes. Okay. Oh, you're right. Okay. Now, this is a magnet right here. Hey, honey, you're going to have to wake up. What? Hello. I'm going to call your mama. Tell her to get you to bed. Or hello. You got to wake up. Okay. Hello. Okay, you know what? If y'all got to sleep on me, then maybe you need to be going to bed earlier. Okay, this is a magnet. Hello. Oh, there you go. All right, here. This is a magnet right here. Everybody look at it. Okay, I'm gonna let everybody touch it. Okay, no pushing. I'm gonna let everybody touch the magnet, and then we're gonna see if it sticks to something. Hey, quit fighting over here. What is that on the floor? What? We just went to the bathroom. Who did that? You know what? Let's just go outside.
Okay, so I just love that one. But don't be afraid to say, okay, let's go outside. Remember that they have different attention spans. I mean, you have 3, 4, and 5-year-old children, and within those attention spans, you can have so many different levels. You have some children who are still, they're at maybe parallel play, where they like to play next to each other, but not necessarily interact with each other, right? You have others that are still in solitary play. They just are playing by themselves. They're not used to this social interaction. So it's actually painful for them to be in this large group setting for a very long time. Excuse me. And of course, you have the children who are in cooperative play, and they hold hands and go skipping to circle time, and they can't wait to hang out with their BFF or wrestle with their BFF. So just remember that you have different levels of attentions, and it's okay to end circle time if it's just not going well at that moment. Here's another one. Allow them to leave circle time. I know. What? I know it sounds a little bit crazy. It sounds like absolute chaos, right? Because if I let one leave circle time while it's still going on, then I have to let 2, then everybody's going to leave. Well, you know what? If they all want to leave, then, you probably should end circle time, right? Because it's not very exciting if they all want to leave. Or they're just not ready. It's not even that you're doing a bad job or not. They're just not ready for that amount of time. So let's breathe and let's just talk about it. It may not be right for your program, but I think it might be something worth talking about. I'm sorry, I think you cannot see my whole screen here. Okay. So we know not all children have the same attention spans at the same ages, right? We know that not all children are developmentally ready for large group activities like this at the same time, like we just talked about. They could be in solitary play, parallel play, cooperative play. You have different ranges. So allowing them to leave and observe circle time from a distance, it helps them. It will help them develop social and emotional skills. It will help them so that they can see, they can observe what's happening so that they can join in later when they are at that point. This may be something very, very new, and I know, I get it, because especially those of you who have pre-K kids, because you feel like, you know what, my job is to prepare them for kindergarten. And I agree. That is our job. I totally agree. However, sometimes I think we need to take a step back and remember that, yes, our job is to prepare them for kindergarten, but they're not kindergartners yet. This is my mantra. You've probably seen this mantra all over my website. They're not kindergartners yet. They're pre-K kids or preschoolers. And the way we prepare them is to start where they are. So like we're thinking in kindergarten, they're going to need to sit for a 30-minute morning meeting or whatever it might be called in kindergarten. Some of them call it morning meeting. Some of it call it circle time. Some call it meeting time. We know that. But we need to start with where they are. If they're at a 4-minute attention span on average, then that's how long your circle time will be. If it's 5 minutes, then go to 5 minutes. But our job is to take them from where they are and then provide activities that help expand that attention span so that by the end of the year, they have the attention span they need when they hit kindergarten next year. And for your 3-year-olds, they have 2 years before they're in kindergarten. The way that we prepare children for kindergarten is not to set kindergarten expectations on them now and have them practice it over and over. We set them up to fail. If we expect them to sit at a 20, 30-minute circle time because, quote unquote, that's what they need to do in kindergarten, well, they're not kindergartners. You're going to set them up to fail, and you're setting yourself up to fail, and you're setting yourself up to be the circle time police because your expectation is 20 to 30 minutes. You need to ease into that. You need to add to their attention span based on the activities that you provide them throughout the year. So it's just something to think about. I know that it's, just a little bit crazy. It may not be the right thing for you right now, but talk with your coworker, talk with your director, and see if this might be something. If you have that one or one child or two children who just are always wandering away from circle time and the rest of your group seems pretty ready for circle time, this might be a good option. Will a few kids want to leave? Sure. They'll want to leave because other kids are leaving, but eventually it just those children will develop the attention span to want to come to circle time. But for now, just work with where you're at. But check with your coworker and see if it's something that will work for you in your program. Okay, so this brings us to number 3. So you have them coming to circle time. You have most of them staying at circle time. You have most of their attention. And this brings us to the third one, which is how do we get our preschoolers to participate in circle time? Well, the way we do this is by providing activities that encourage participation, encourage exploration, and spark questions and conversations. So think about too, and this is probably a workshop for another time, but think about the time that you spend doing possibly calendar, weather, letter of the week, maybe number of the week, shape of the month, color of the month. Each one of those elements in your circle time take at least 5 minutes. That's 5 elements. So that's 25 minutes. You've used up all your circle time. And most of your kids are not going to be ready for that type of interaction. So quite honestly, I'll just talk about this briefly. For circle time, for calendar, I don't do calendar at circle time anymore. I stopped doing that years ago because it's very passive. It's active for that one child who's up there pointing to the numbers. And yeah, the other kids are rote counting, but that is so boring for 16 other kids to sit there and watch one child point to all the numbers. And again, children don't tell time the way we do. So what I do is I love having a calendar in the classroom. I just don't do it at circle time. I usually have it hanging in dramatic play with my laminated numbers and just let the kids use it in the way that they're going to use it. Some of the children will put those number cards for the numbers of for each day in order. Some of them will just go by the pattern. You know how the calendar pieces usually have a pattern, like an AB or ABC pattern on it. They'll use that. And then you have that other child who wants the numbers all in order, and they'll go and put them all in order. So they have some experience with it. And then I don't introduce it formally until after, I'm in the Northeast, so we usually have school break in February. We have a February vacation, like a winter break. After winter break, that's when I introduce calendar time formally to pre-K children. Only the children, to that group that they're going to be going to kindergarten. And even then, it's very quick. For numbers, and I don't do a number of the week. I don't do a letter of the week. That's a whole, those are activities that I do throughout the day so that they're incorporated into art. So they're writing their name on all their artwork, but I'm kind of going on a tangent off of that. But there are probably elements of your circle time, which this is my point, that maybe don't have to happen at circle time. Maybe you can do them at a different time of day or a different time of the year. But to get children to participate, they all need to feel welcome. They all need to feel that they are part of this group. So if we're just talking at them, or there's just 1 or 2 children who are doing the weather and doing calendar, the rest of the children are going to feel lost. So do activities that encourage participation. I'm going to show you, let's look at some. I'm going to show you, I'm going to go into, this is Preschool Cubby. This is my membership program. I'm going to go into one of the themes that's in here and show you, let's see. I'm going to go to this one. Castles, Dragons, Kings, and Queens. This is a really fun theme. So let me open it up and show you. So here are, if you can see that okay, under circle time, there are 5 circle time activities, 1 for each day of the week. One is called the Minstrel News. One is called Pomanders. One is called What is in a Castle. Thursday is Construction Discussion. And Friday is Hop the Moat. This is what I did during this theme for circle time. So let's look at each day. We'll just look at it really briefly. So for Monday, the Minstrel News, I brought a puppet to teach the children about what life was like in castle times. Or you can use it to introduce an activity that will be in one of your interest centers that day. So our children were really into alligators, they were really into castles, they were really into princesses, and you can imagine I was hearing the song Let It Go over and over and over again. So we did this theme. We brought an alligator puppet to Circle Time, and the alligator gave the minstrel news. So they gave the news, well, you boys and girls, we're going to be talking about castles this week, and I'm an alligator. Can you guess where I live in the castle? And just, it was very interactive, and the kids really enjoyed it, and it helped them to all participate in be engaged in the Circle Time activity. On Tuesday, we made pomanders. So what we talked about was that fruit was very popular. It is now too, but it was very popular food in medieval times. All their feasts had them. So we provided oranges and a huge, huge bowl of whole cloves. And the children had to use their fine motor skills to push the cloves into the oranges, and then you can hang them up. Some of the children made designs on it. Some of them spelled their names. And then as they were doing that, we talked about the smells. We talked about the senses. We talked about the fact that oranges were very, very popular in feasts back in the days when there were castles and people lived in castles. So not only are they learning, they're participating, and they're part of the activity. On Wednesday, what's in a castle? We just hung up a large sheet of paper, and we asked them, tell me everything you know about castles. And this is something that's great for Circle Time. You may have heard it in the past called KWL, which stands for Know, Want to Know, and Learned. So at the beginning of the week, you ask them, what do we know about castles? Tell me everything you know about castles, and write down everything they say. Encourage them with some questions. What do you think they're made out of? What do you think is inside a castle? Who do you think lived in castles? And then throughout the week, you can go back over this list and add to it as they learn more about this theme. Okay, so now on Thursday, we called it construction discussion. We talked about what castles were made of, what they thought they were made of, and how they might be made. And so we brought blocks and gave each child, remember I said give each child something to hold? When they came to Circle Time, we gave each one of them a block to hold. And then together, we built a castle one by one, and if it fell over, we kept trying again. So that was how we continued our discussion and worked together at Circle Time. And then on Friday, Hop the Moat. We placed a lot of items that we had a box of props, basically. So let's read this. At Circle Time, tell the children that you have some items that have something to do with castles, and they're going to need to guess what these items are for. Now, this is something where, remember we talked about the anticipation of Circle Time? Hold up the box and shake it. And say, ooh, I wonder what's in this box. I can't wait till Circle Time to show you what's in here. It's so cool. And then it kind of encourages them to clean up quicker, and they'll all want to come see what's in the box. Then you take the items out one by one, and you ask what each item is. And the items we had in there were a stuffed alligator, some water in a jar, some sand, some grass, some leaves, and painter's tape. So we asked what part of the castle each one of these items would be. We showed pictures of castles. We introduced the word moat. We asked why castles have moats, and it's for protection. And then we took out the tape, and we made 2 parallel lines on the floor, and the children had to hop over the moat without getting in. So we actually did some gross motor activity during Circle Time. So as you can see, these are not your traditional Circle Time activities, but these are my favorite kind of Circle Time activities because they are participatory. They are examples of things that your children can do at Circle Time and that are engaging, and they spark questions and conversations and make them all feel cohesive as a group as before they go off to interest centers to participate in the other activities you have in your classroom. So those were my tips. So how do we get our preschoolers to come? And remember, have transitions and be excited and let them know, give them a little anticipation of what's going to be coming. How do you get your preschoolers to stay? Well, by having things that are engaging, not talking at them, having them be participants in the activity by holding a prop or being part of singing a song. And how do you get them to participate? We just went over a bunch of activities and ideas. So basically, it all comes down to intentional planning. We need to plan for Circle Time just as much as we do for the other interest centers. Like when you think about what types of art activities you can have or what type of science experiments you can do, when you're sitting down doing your planning, Circle Time should be a key piece that you think about of how you can have them come together as a group and participate in your themed activities. So sometimes it may be a little difficult to do, but I can help. Okay, so the way I can help is by doing the planning for you, right? So as I said, I love everything preschool. One of my favorite things is lesson planning. And we were already talking about this theme right here, Castles, Dragons, Kings, and Queens. So for this theme, I created hands-on circle time activities that we already talked about, art activities, math, science, music and movement, gross motor activities that you could do inside or outside, story time, books and picture books that go well with each theme, and then suggested changes to your block area, dramatic play, easel, your sand and water table, suggestions for changes to your writing center. And then I take these activities and put them in here on the right-hand side. These are daily planning forms. It tells you exactly how to carry out each one of the activities. These numbers, they're aligned to just basic preschool standards. They're not aligned to any specific state, but will let you know which skills and areas your children are developing by participating in the activities. And so actually, let me show you this in a more fuller screen. So this is the weekly planning form. And these forms, the weekly planning form and the daily planning form inside the membership, are completely editable. So you could go in here and just hit delete and type in your own activity. That way you can individualize it based on activities you like to do for these themes and topics and use your expertise and unique flair when planning. Or you can just use these themes as is. You can just print them and use them. These daily forms are also editable, so you can add your own notes in here. And each day has a what you'll need, a materials list of what you're going to need each day, so you can actually prep your entire week the week before. Let's scroll down here. I add a Play-Doh recipe. I love Play-Doh. I love doing Play-Doh every day. I actually would make it every week. You don't have to make it every week, but I do provide a Play-Doh recipe in case you want to make it with the children every week. And then I include activity mats that can be used with dry erase markers, or we use Play-Doh with them. I make a game, a file folder game, or a board game that's theme related. This one is a file folder matching game. A song poster with a song card, so you can take these cards, cut them out and laminate them, put them in a can, and whenever you have a transition time, just reach into the can and pull out a card, show them the picture, and start singing that song. It's a great, one of many really great transition activities for your kids. And this one also has pattern cards. I also include calendar. Now, as we talked about, I don't use calendar at circle time because I don't think it's a good use of time. We only have their attention 10 or 15 minutes, so I don't want one child doing the calendar and the other children are just repeating back rote numbers and they're getting bored and we're losing their attention. We've already talked about that. But what I do is have a pocket chart calendar in dramatic play. And the children have these themed pieces, and each week I put out the pieces that go, or every 2 weeks, however often you do themes, put these cards out and let the kids freely use them in the calendar, so they can sort them by picture. They can just put them in there by pattern, doing an ABC pattern, or in this one an ABCD pattern, or they can just put them in order by number, so they can use them on their own. And then let me also show you, this is the membership. And I wanted to show you for the themes, because a lot of people do ask what types of themes are in here. I have a lot of traditional themes. Right now there's over 190 themes for you to choose from. And in the membership, you choose the 4 themes that you want each month out of the themes that are in here. There are 190 as of this recording, and I add 4 new themes each month. So there are these traditional ones like 5 Senses, All About Me, Back to School, Ambulance and Police. I also have author studies. Right now there are 16 different author studies in here, and I add one every other month. And on the alternating months that I don't add an author study, I add a Bible. So if you're a Christian-based program, I have a Bible-based New Testament and Old Testament themes in here as well. So I add 6 of these a year and 6 author studies a year. In addition, there are professional development. There are trainings like this that are in here, and I put together about 10 hours worth of trainings every school year in here, new ones every year. So there's block play, cooking, daily transitions. This one's a 2-hour training. My most recent one, the developmental milestones, that's a 3-hour training. They're video based. You take them at your own pace, so you can watch the first module. Most of them have 4 modules, 4 videos. and there's additional reading that you can do, and there are a certificate of attendance that you can print out at the end of each training and put them into your folder. The trainings are not, just to answer, that's one of the questions I received too, the trainings are not submitted to each state for pre-approval. So if your state requires that a training be approved by them before it counts towards your in-service hours, then these trainings won't count towards that, but they will help you develop skills to become an even better teacher. So there's also teacher resources. There are over 20 different downloads in here. There's a 13 math activities ebook. There's 20 math games. There's a bonus little mini Grandparents' Day theme, an ebook on 38 ways to paint, a bread theme. This is exclusive to Preschool Cubby. There's all kinds of Play-Doh mats with alphabet and numbers. There's over 20 resources in here that you have access to right away as a member. So I could go on and on about this membership, but I won't. And I'll just let me give you the link. It's right below. It's right below this. If you go below this video, you'll see the link. Just click that. It's an entire information page that will show you everything in there and how it can help you in your program. And this program could save you 2 to 3 hours, if not more, of planning time each week. So you're not going into the black hole of Pinterest or social media looking for activities. So enrollment is now open. This is the link, or just click the link below this video. If you have any questions about Circle Time, about the training, or about the Preschool Cubby program, just hit reply to the email you received, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So I hope that you found this training helpful and that you have some tips that you can go in and apply to your Circle Time tomorrow and stop being the Circle Time police and start enjoying Circle Time again. It's, like I said, I used to dread Circle Time because it's just constantly like the little chicks hopping around on that mat. I felt like I was always trying to gather them back, but once the activities were more focused on them and them being participatory in Circle Time, it changed everything, and it really helped develop and grow or lengthen their attention spans. So I hope that you find this helpful for you as well. Talk to you later.